Welcome to English Conversations, the place where stories breathe life into words, and where learning English feels like a journey, not a lesson. Every story here has a heartbeat, and today's one might just touch yours. Today's story is called Turning Point. Get ready, because sometimes one moment can change everything. Have you ever felt like your life is just stuck? Like every morning feels the same, and no matter what you do, nothing seems to change. Sometimes we wait for big miracles, but real change often begins with something small, something we never expect. This is the story of a man named Ravi, and the day that became his turning point. Maybe today could be yours too. Ravi was 27. 2 years ago, he had a decent job at a small firm. Life wasn't perfect, but it felt balanced. A job, a few friends, quiet evenings, and simple dreams. Then one day, the company downsized. He lost his job. At first, he thought it would be temporary. "I'll find something soon," he told himself. But weeks became months, and months turned into years. Each morning, Ravi woke up with the same thought. "I'll start again tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. He'd scroll through his phone, watch motivational videos, and tell himself, "I'll begin after lunch." After lunch, he'd say, "Maybe tomorrow morning." It was a quiet trap, comfortable but suffocating. His room became his world, 4 walls, a laptop, and silence. He wasn't lazy, he was lost. One hot afternoon, Ravi decided to take a walk. He didn't know where he was going, he just needed air. After a few minutes, he stopped at a small roadside tea stall. The smell of boiling tea, the sound of traffic, the laughter of strangers. It felt alive. He hadn't felt that in a long time. He ordered a cup of tea and stood quietly, watching people rush by. Then he noticed a boy, maybe 13 years old, sitting near the stall. He was helping his father serve tea, but between customers, he opened a school notebook and started studying. Ravi smiled and asked, "Why don't you study at home?" The boy looked up and said softly, "My father needs help here, so I study when I can." That simple sentence hit Ravi harder than any motivational quote ever could. He looked at the boy again, dusty clothes, tired eyes, but still focused. He was learning between struggles. Ravi realized something. He had time. He had comfort. He had opportunity. Yet he was doing nothing. As Ravi walked back home that day, he didn't listen to music. He didn't scroll through his phone. He just thought. That small scene at the tea stall became like a mirror. He saw his own excuses, his wasted time, his fear of failing again. By the time he reached home, he made a quiet promise. "I'm done waiting for tomorrow." That night, he cleaned the dust off his old laptop. He opened his resume. His fingers trembled as he typed. It wasn't easy, but every keystroke felt like courage returning. The next morning, Ravi woke early. He made coffee and smiled at his reflection. It wasn't a big change, but it was something. He started applying for jobs again. Some days, 10 applications. Other days, none. He faced rejection after rejection. Emails that began with, "We regret to inform you." Each one hurt, but this time he didn't stop. Break time. 2 seconds. Whenever he felt low, he remembered the boy. If that child can keep studying in the middle of a tea stall, he thought, then I can keep trying. He began learning new skills online, watching tutorials, reading articles. It wasn't magic. It was consistency. After 3 months of effort, one email changed everything. It read, We'd like to invite you for an interview." Ravi stared at the screen, then smiled and cried. The interview wasn't easy, but this time he spoke honestly. He didn't hide his failures. He shared what they taught him. A few days later, he got the call. He was hired. That evening, he went back to the same tea stall. The boy was still there, studying between customers. Ravi bought 2 cups of tea. He gave one to the boy and said, "Thank you." The boy looked puzzled. "For what?" Ravi smiled. "For reminding me that small efforts matter." That night, Ravi sat by his window, holding his cup of tea. The world outside looked the same, but something inside him had changed. He realized the world doesn't wait for anyone. It moves forward, whether we stand still or walk with it. And sometimes, a stranger, a few words, a moment, is enough to remind us that life still has more to give. You see, many of us live like Ravi. We wait for the perfect time, for motivation, for signs from the universe. But the truth is, motivation doesn't come first. Action does. When you take one small step, motivation follows. That's what Ravi learned that ordinary day, at an ordinary tea stall, from an ordinary boy. He learned that no moment is too small to change your life, because change never starts with tomorrow. It starts with today. My friend, maybe you're listening to this right now, and you're also waiting for your right time. Maybe you failed. Maybe people stopped believing in you. But remember, the world doesn't ask for perfection. It only asks for effort. Your turning point won't come with loud applause. It'll come quietly, maybe in a bus ride, a walk, or a simple cup of tea. The moment you decide to move, even one small step, that's when everything starts to change. Months passed. Ravi kept growing in his new job. He worked hard, stayed humble, and never forgot that tea stall. Sometimes after work, he'd stop by to see the boy, who was still helping, still studying. Ravi quietly began paying his school fees. He never said why. He just smiled and said, "Keep studying. You're doing great." That boy didn't know he had changed someone's life, but he did. Years later, Ravi shared his story on a small stage. Someone asked, "What was your secret?" He smiled and said, "My secret. It wasn't luck or talent. It was a moment. The moment I stopped waiting and started living." And that's what life is about. It's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you choose to rise. Because your turning point might not be tomorrow. It might be today. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to think about what your turning point could be. And remember, every small effort counts. Start today. Your future self will thank you. This is SH English Conversations, and you just listened to today's turning point. If you liked this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life reflections and motivational stories. Until next time, keep believing, keep moving, and keep growing.